So right now I'd say that we're kind of urban farmers.
You know, this is our little greenhouse we got, and this is the system, and the whole goal was to grow as much food as we possibly could in a small area, and we're really maximizing space. You know, there's the ability to make a living out of a 10 by 12 greenhouse with this system. And it's utilizing aeroponics, and it's simply put, it's a way to grow plants using no soil and a mist that feeds the plants with a nutrient-rich water. By incorporating oxygen, it allows the plants to uptake the nutrients and minerals faster than if it were just growing in a media or just a normal hydroponic system. This system is designed to grow 45 head of lettuce in 4 square feet. And my base right here is 4 square feet. And as it grows, depending on the plant, you can rotate it and manipulate how much light the plants are getting.
So right now I work full time. I work in a garden center, 55 hours a week, and we have this system at home. And my wife, Sara, she's pregnant and she takes care of it in about 2 hours a day. And you know, that includes planting time and harvesting time and delivery. This system in 10 by 12 area is going to provide one full salary for our family, and we actually designed it that way. Why we're using this system and why we developed it is because our location in the world is nearly impossible to farm in the wintertime. I wanted to make it possible to generate a profit in the wintertime. So we were kind of forced into it. You know, it wasn't all easy though.
We live in a pretty populated area. They call it like the Fox Valley, by kind of Green Bay. Being located kind of smack in the middle of everything, it's really kind of a benefit because there's not a place that won't think about taking our product, and there's always somewhere to sell to. I mean, we're 100 yards away from this highway, so it's kind of right in the middle of everything. We still manage to get everything done and be able to have a greenhouse and farm and stuff, so it's pretty neat. Well, this is our house.
Yeah, it's got a very large backyard, and that's kind of why we moved here.
We're maintaining the side of it and the back of it primarily for vegetable production. Look at all of them. 70 tomato plants. Believe it or not, every one of these suckers that I grew was just a little sprout, and 100% of them succeeded. We're in a side-by-side duplex. We don't own this whole property here. We have half, and we're renting. The reason why I'm doing it like this with the containers, I can't really dig up my whole yard, even though I've dug up a good portion of it. You can garden anywhere as long as you have some space and you talk with your landlord and let them know what you want to do. It's possible. So what we did here is a container system, and it's kind of a 1/3 soil compost, peat moss, perlite. They're doing pretty good.
In America, farming, it's just such large scale production. I feel like more people should produce smaller amounts of a bigger variety. There's so many different foods.
This here is a sweet baby girl cherry tomato. You gotta go with some of these heirloom varieties. That's a lot of tomato. Another thing I do, I have just a regular flower to bring in some bees. Every morning I come into contact with the same bees, I swear. Never take a day off, except when it's raining. Just like me. Looks like we got a storm moving in right now. And I'd just like for people to see firsthand why we run these strings across. We just got about a 50-mile-an-hour gust. One good whip of the wind will take them out.
We can effectively grow a lot of food in the small growing season that we have.
All right, well, it looks like somebody turned the water on. I don't have to water the plants tomorrow morning.
And we can collect rainwater and be as proactive with kind of utilizing everything that we have on this little property. It's when winter comes around, it's just impossible to grow anything outside. We bought the greenhouse so we could extend our growing season and hopefully produce some food throughout the winter.
Here's my greenhouse that I built. I purchased a Harbor Freight greenhouse. I put it up and then I built a frame around it to protect it from the elements. We changed the door because the doors that were on here were sliding doors. They were not manufactured for snow, and ice would get in there and wouldn't work. So kind of put together a makeshift door by putting a frame like that on the top and getting that kind of checkerboard or grid pattern. That helps with snow load. And I used their old pallet shaker, I believe. I had to pre-drill every hole and I had to put it all together with a handsaw, so it took me quite a while. I have a corrugated panel to start with here. Then I have the frame built off of it about 8 inches. The original plan was to wrap it in a poly film, have a 2-layer, and inflate the film and have actually an air bubble in between it. So there'd be like 2 spaces of air insulation there. But I ended up not being able to heat it, even though with the 2 air insulations, it just didn't do it. So what I did was I went and bought a heater. It's early morning, about 6:30. I got my heater right here. Just cranked it up a little bit since I came in here, but it's still about 47 in here. This is a natural gas heater. We run this into the greenhouse from our house. We had a professional contractor come in. I run it very low. I can actually keep it right on pilot mode for a lot of the time, and that actually throws off just a little bit of heat. But for this time of the year, we're in November. We're getting lucky here in Wisconsin. It's not a lot of snow, not a lot of bad weather right off the bat. We're right on the edge of Lake Winnebago in Wisconsin here. There's not a ton of people out here. I'm kind of lined up right here with this heave. This heave is where the ice breaks. We get really cold Arctic air from the north up in Canada.
Crash stay.
There's steam coming off it. Alright, ready? I like get up.
We bought this little greenhouse and we were growing in some ridiculously cold weather. Coldest winter in Wisconsin's history in the last 60 years.
I have snow in the greenhouse. It's actually leaking through some of the panels, especially up towards the ceiling.
Hey, we're getting a little snow in the greenhouse.
It's been a few weeks of me kind of fighting the weather. I have -50 to -60 degrees that I withstood.
I have my 1500 watt ready heater here. I got a 30,000 BTU heater there. We have white plastic on the walls. We have heavy duty canvas blankets and plastic on every wall. I have a lot of things on the ground level to try to help force that air up and warm my plants up.
-50 to -60 is nothing to mess with. It took a matter of seconds for the temperature to start dropping when I blew a fuse. It was like 1 second, we were at 55, we blew the fuse, I ran out to get the rocket stove, came back, and we're at 35, barely hanging on. So what we did was we got candles.
This is actually an excellent source of heat. Just these few tea candles in a metal container. Hopefully that can keep my temperatures up. We're climbing from 40 to hopefully we can get 42, 43. I think we can make it through if I can get around that temperature. I have as much as I can off in my house. I'm going to take a rest for about 2 hours, and after that we'll see what happens. So we lost a few parsley plants.
3 of them I lost. So as soon as they get a little wilt on them, that frost, if it even settles in on them, they get nailed. So I have similar problems with this pepper plant right now. We're gonna see if that one can get a little of that wilt off it before tonight. Otherwise, this one is gonna be gone for sure. Everything that I've done to this point could have just been lost. It still can be lost.
You know, honestly, it's extremely difficult to even grow in a greenhouse where we're at and make any money. Your heating bill's gonna be more than whatever you're gonna be able to grow. But it's definitely something that I looked at and thought maybe I could try to change something.
I put all my seedlings up there. I figured that would be a good way of maxing out space. And for right now, I need the space bad. So I came through with just a piece of regular rope and ran it through a piece of PVC pipe. Dropped that on there. Nothing fancy. But hey, it gets me this whole table clear and free. So I'm happy about that.
I started researching on some things with some vertical growing, vertical gardening. And that's when I really got into it, where, okay, I knew it was possible. I knew if we utilized the vertical growing area, the airspace, rather than just the floor space, we could actually do it.
Got these Dutch buckets, new system with that. This is just a 4T, I don't know if you'd call that I connected them with. And I put 3 buckets together like that because I want to put it on this back wall.
The first winter growing, we used soil. It was a giant waste of time and a giant waste of money.
That's my pond pump that I got at a garage sale for $3. Got a lot of lift power on it.
That's how we stumbled upon hydroponics and aquaponics and aeroponics and all the different versions of growing in soilless medias.
A nice little valve here that allows me to divert the water if I need to. So
we just did research and we landed on hydroponics first, but hydroponics is not possible if you're going to be growing vertically. And we transitioned into aeroponics because it's a faster growing method that uses less water. So aeroponics, it's similar to hydroponics. Plants are grown using water rather than a soil, but it's mist. Basically, it's a mist that comes on inside the growing chamber, and it comes on every 3 minutes for 10 seconds. It's a real high oxygen water that's hitting that root.
There's your mist, aerates the bottom, creates a perfect atmosphere for these to grow.
The method was actually developed and it's being used by NASA because it uses so much less water and the speed of growth is much faster.
Alright, here we got some tomatoes going. Cucumbers are just starting. That tomato really took off these last few days.
Here's our eggplant that we plugged in a few days ago. We got our pepper plant that we plugged in, Power Pop tomato variety. We already got tomatoes on it and we just plugged it in about a week ago. Now here's our Swiss chard. This is Rainbow Swiss. But check out these roots here. They are incredible. You see those really small, fine hairs coming off of the main root, and that's what aeroponics gives you. It gives you more of a small mesh root compared to the big tap roots, and that's saving the plant's energy.
It takes 99% less water than conventional farming techniques because it's completely contained and everything is used, everything is utilized, there's no waste, there's no runoff. This system uses less water in a month than my garden uses in a day outside.
This is my reservoir for the system, and this system basically runs entirely off of 35 gallons here. If it gets really hot, it starts to transpire water, the sun comes out, and these things really go through the water. If it stays kind of a mild overcast day, the plants don't really take as much of the water. They feed more.
So we're collecting rainwater and we daisy chain them off of a few spots in the house. And then we go ahead and we pump that right into the IBC tote. And we got all this for free. It's all recycled, but it's all food grade plastics. So by taking the rainwater, and it's actually starting to rain right now, we can completely run our hydroponic system off of the rainwater. It doesn't take any more than just rainwater. We're gonna go in the greenhouse real quick here because it's starting to actually rain. You can see this system is ran off of rainwater. Right here. It runs completely off of rainwater, and as you see, we're getting a little bit right now, and it doesn't take that much to run the system, and that's what's really nice about this system. Different environments for different plants. Depending on the plant, it's gonna feed on different things at different pH levels, and we can probably check this real quick. So what I'm doing here on a regular basis is testing everything from the temperature to the pH to the parts per million in the tank. We have our temperature inside the greenhouse and inside the growing chamber. I have a little plentum here, and I have a small pump, and in this plentum I actually have a base nutrient mix. I have a couple dry nutrients that I mix in. Everything is needed in these 2 cups here for a perfect growing spectrum. Now it's about maintaining the right levels of the right nutrients. This is a pH up, and I put it in my reservoir there, and we let that stabilize. That's the thing that we have to do every day, and it's the hardest part of the job, is chasing the pH around, up and down, and making sure that the nutrients stay right. What you see in there is my parts per million reading, and that's going to be our nutrient strength here. Now, what's happening is they're eating a whole lot of nitrogen and a whole lot of some of the micronutrients in it and that kind of thing, but they're not really touching some of the other parts of it, so it's a little off whack. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put this hose in my reservoir here, and that's going to fill up here, and I'm not going to sit here the whole time, but I'm going to fill this up a little ways and take a reading halfway through. Okay, we're at 1600. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to do some of this stuff. We're at 824. It's not going to hurt the plants. They've ran at that before. All it takes is just planting some of these little seeds here, and we have started them from seed in a rock wool cube. It's a medium that you can grow into. It's actually a spun rock fiber. And you plug them in, and they take right off in the system. Alright, so we're very proud to say that we developed this thermal wrap. Basically what this is it's keeping the inside of the chamber at a consistent temperature. We can maintain 75 degrees in the grow chamber maximum, and all the way down 65 to 75, which is the ideal growing condition. In the wintertime, this thermal wrap doubles as a light refraction technique to maximize lumens in the greenhouse. When the sun isn't quite as high, we get a nice amount of light refraction. See, these actually rotate like this here, and I did that so I can have the sun beaming on one side, and if it doesn't get a lot of light on the other, I can spin it. That's the main goal there with that. This is kind of like the test barrel. This is kind of a test barrel. We're trying different varieties of plants in these barrels to see how they do. We got our lettuce varieties, Bib, we got the Ruffle loose leaf, we got the cucumber. This is about 30 days since we plugged it in. Chard, basil, lettuce, mint, and it's just, the mint's just ripping along. I'm gonna pull this cucumber out, show you kind of what I got with roots on that. Oh, right! Some of these basil plants are doing better than others. Now here's some dill that we put in It's a mammoth dill, which is probably the wrong variety to grow in the system here because it grows, I think, like 8 feet tall. So you see the stem is already probably close to 4 feet. This variety we're not going to do in the system. It's just too big.
The time takes a little bit more time, but it's never phased by temperature. It's never phased by inconsistent water, like if my pump shut off or something. We harvested our other 2 barrels just a few days ago. We had some basil and lettuce we brought to market, and we get around $2 a head, 45 head per barrel. And by filling the whole greenhouse up, we're going to be able to generate around 495 to 500 head of lettuce and generate us around $1,000 in this space.
This system, 1 unit could easily provide enough food for a family of 4 to eat year-round. What I looked at was if I got more units hooked up, how much could we generate? And 12 units would generate enough money for a family to really make it worth somebody to stay home and work with the system.
So this is mint here, and this is something that we're really excited to grow because we can grow a few units with this, and a bundle like this, we weigh it and it comes out to about $10 retail. We can take that plant and do an entire barrel and generate approximately $480 per barrel on the mint. So we're really excited about the mint. Takes a little bit longer to grow.
You know, what's going to happen here is we're going to come through, and on these little pieces here, you lop that off, you pull these little guys off the bottom here, and you place that in a rock wool cube, maybe scuff up the edge, put it in, and you're growing. And that's going to skip the step of planting the seed and trying to get it to grow. This here is supposed to be a chard seed, but we found that they actually had a few beet seeds in with the chard seeds. This system's not necessarily designed for beet production, so oh, this is bloody massacre. Oh my god. It got me right in the eye. Alright. These are the technical difficulties here that oh man. If we can get that out of there almost. Oh. Beat in the system. This definitely beat the system. Literally. Just coming through here and popping the bottoms off. This is a specialty lettuce, and they're not gonna throw a whole head of that in those blends that they make. You just get a few. So, taking them off, and it's pretty fun.
I honestly think that growing local is so important. When the food is fresh, when you pick something and it's just right off the vine, that food is loaded with nutrition that usually is depleted during the shipping process. So when you're going to the stores and you're picking up stuff that they're hoisting up these trucks, that food has already started to decompose.
As easy as that.
I'm not saying we gotta go crazy, grow everything, but there's no reason why we shouldn't be able to grow our own food locally, some nutrient-dense food here locally year-round. I think that farming is going to change the ability for complete customization. This is a system geared towards cold climates and things like that. So I think the future of farming is like more of a large number of people are going to start to provide first for themselves, but then it's going to transition into these people are going to also provide for the stores, and we'll all grow something different. The way I see it, farming is hard work, but it's smart work. You can't go wrong. By putting a seed in the ground, it's going to give you 100 times, 1,000 times, immediately. There's no better way of investing your time or your money. And it's the most down-to-earth thing you can do. Literally. I really love doing this.